Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Google Hangout with our chairman, Mr. Shahid Khan. Thank you very much for joining us today, sir.
Well, it's my privilege. What a pleasure to be here.
I'd like to introduce everybody that's taking part in today's Hangout. We have Heather Mullen from Fulham, USA. Hi, Heather. We have Jean-Andre Prager, who's studying hard in Oxford. We have Lorcan O'Connor, who's representing the Fulham Supporters Trust. We have Russ Goldman of Cottage Talk fame. And we have Will Paul here, who's from Viva El Fulham. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Before we start with the questions, I'm just going to put a question to you, Mr. Khan. How did you enjoy that goal last night?
I think it was the experience of a lifetime, and let me really start off by thanking the Fulham supporters who were there. We sat pretty much right next to them, and really the chanting and the fun and how they interacted and what a great time I had is something quite memorable. So I wish all of the Fulham supporters could have been there last night. I mean, it's very, very memorable, and the result, how it turned out, obviously makes it even more special.
And obviously there was a fire drill in the middle. I'm not sure whether, but you were really in amongst the Fulham fans at one point.
Yep, Fulham fans and some Crystal Palace fans. Yeah, so it was a very civil crowd and a sober crowd at that point. Yeah, so.
And a little bit of bad language with some of the Fulham songs. Did you join in with that?
Well, it was a lot of fun. So yeah. So I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you for all of the Fulham supporters who were there last night. So.
Okay, let's get some questions. I know you guys are keen to get going. So if we can go to you, Heather, first, and you can put your first question.
Okay, hello, Mr. Khan. My first question is, there's already a game in Jacksonville planned. Is there another preseason tour for the U.S. a possibility?
Heather, I think, we definitely want Fulham coming to the U.S. for a preseason or for friendlies. We haven't gotten to the point of really defining exactly where it will be. Very much so, I think I'd like for them to be in Jacksonville. If you have any suggestions, beyond that, we'd welcome that. But Jacksonville has a very rabid soccer or football following, and I think we'd like to really capitalize on that. I think Fulham needs supporters, more supporters in the U.S., and this would be a way of kind of tapping into it.
Happy, Heather? Okay, let's move on to Jean-Andre. Would you like to put your question, J.A.?
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan, for joining us. It's very kind of you. And one of the greatest things about Fulham Football Club is its sense of community and of being an extended family. How can we hang on to this quality while expanding the corporate hospitality areas that you identified as an area for expansion and improvement?
Well, they're not mutually exclusive. I think they go hand in hand. So the wonderful thing about Fulham, Craven Cottage, the family atmosphere, the intimacy, I think that's unique about Fulham, really sets it apart, quite frankly. The corporate hospitality supplements that. And the Riverside stand, which really, started obviously way before my time and is well along the way now with getting approvals through various authorities, I think is necessary to get the corporate sponsors in the hospitality, because we want to put the club in a sustainable way. And money and supporters are two very, very important aspects of that. So, it's typical now in sports that, let's face it, the corporate sponsors are in a way subsidizing the regular supporters out there. So it's really a good thing, and it is an element that will support the club and all the other, regular fans or ticket holders who are out there.
Thank you, J.A. Lorcan, would you like to put your question to Mr. Khan for the Trust?
Yeah. You've spoken a lot of sustainability at Fulham, but could you give some specifics on the business model and how do you develop on planning Craven Cottage as a part of it?
Sustainability, obviously, it's about getting more supporters, but it's about getting more money, which can be invested into the squad and the facilities. So it's a virtuous cycle. Now, the key investment that's been identified is the Riverside stand. That would be step one. We would have more seating, and obviously it would be geared towards corporate or more upscale hospitality. That would create the revenue where we could invest in the squad at a different level. So that is absolutely the model we want to follow. Invest, get more revenue, and then turn around and invest it in players.
Okay. And but how do you develop? Because the Putney and the Hamsterfen, I believe, are temporary. So do you plan on developing those as part of increasing the capacity as well?
The Riverside stand is the one which has been under development now for a few years. So it's very important that we get that finished, see what the results are, and everything I understand that the community is highly supportive of Craven Cottage. They would like it to be there, and once the Riverside stand is done to everybody's satisfaction, that would be a natural extension on the Putney stand to see what we can do.
Yeah.
Okay, Lorcan, thank you. Russ, hello Russ from Cottage Talk. Would you like to put your question to Mr. Khan?
Sure. Mr. Khan, it's nice to talk to you again.
Yeah.
In your learning process as a new owner, I want to ask you, do you look at other new owners like Stan Kroenke and John Henry to learn from their mistakes and successes?
Well, I think, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. So there are a lot of lessons, good, bad, and different, and I think, we have to learn from all of them.
Okay, great. I do have a suggestion for a game in the U.S., by the way. How about Fenway Park, call John Henry to have Fulham play Liverpool at Fenway Park? For selfish reasons.
Okay. I understand. So, you're going to be having a World Series there also, so this would be something that would supplement that. So.
Absolutely.
Sounds good, Russ.
Okay.
Okay, Will, let's move on to you and ask your question, please.
Hi, Mr. Khan. Thanks a lot for answering some questions. It's great to be able to talk to the chairman like this. My question is that knowing that relegation is always a possibility in the league where literally anything can happen each year, does the club have a plan, both in terms of how it's set up and promotion back to Premier League, set out in advance in case the worst does happen?
Well, you have to hope for the best and plan for the worst. So our best plan is we don't want to be there. So the players, obviously the leadership, that would be managers, coaching, should be there to make sure relegation doesn't happen. But there are clubs, a number of them that have been relegated, and some came back in a year. And if you have the right leadership, right investment and commitment, it's happened in a year. And if you don't, then it's a very, very, and I think all of you as football fans and supporters, I think, know the clubs I'm talking about. So, but we don't want to be there. But I think, God forbid, it was to happen. Our goal would be to get back, the following year.
Thank you very much, Will. Heather, we're coming back to you for your next question.
Sure. As an owner of an NFL team and now an English Premier League team, have you noticed any differences or similarities in the operations of each team?
Well, there are some, best practices I think we can all learn from, but EPL and NFL are, very, very different models. Closed league versus promotion relegation. Sharing national revenue, that doesn't happen to the extent. It's pretty much you eat what you kill, I think, in Premier League, whereas NFL, it's a very, very different model. What we're going through in Jacksonville, would not be possible, frankly, in Premier League, without being relegated, which is start a team from pretty much a clean start. I mean, our players in NFL are players just coming out of college or been in the league last couple of years. I mean, that's something just isn't possible. It's the stability of the league that gives us the confidence to do the right thing for Jacksonville. So the practices that would make sense, I think, corporate sales, how to relate to the fans or supporters, I think there are some good practices, but it's fundamentally very different business models.
Thank you, Heather. Jean-Andre?
Your career in business is very impressive, and you're a winner. Can we expect you to raise the bar at Fulham and aim higher than mid-table in the league?
Well, I think, our goal, as I stated before, I think is, sustainability, and we want to do better. So last year we finished 12th. I mean, our goal would be, hey, we want to, do a little bit better than that. And once we're able to do that, then finishing a little bit higher would just be, in the normal evolution of the club, and would be almost be expected, as we look and move out in the future. But there are a number of things we have to do before we get to that.
Where do you want us to finish, J.A.?
Top 10 would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be nice for all of us.
And back to you, Lorcan.
Okay, with press reports this week of a sport fusion between the Jaguars and Fulham, can you help us understand what that really means in practical terms, and how the supporters benefit from this fusion?
Well, certainly, in our case, whether it's Jacksonville Jaguars or Fulham, we want more supporters. And for Jacksonville, specifically London, UK international market, I mean, if you don't have an NFL club, I mean, we would like to be your NFL club. Likewise, in the U.S., I think Premier League is on a great rise, and we would like fans in the U.S. who don't have a particular football club to pick Fulham. So that's the first example of fusion, looking across the pond or the Atlantic, looking for fans and supporters of both clubs. Next item to work on again is on financially, some of the best practices on getting corporate sponsors either as a package or that we could leverage one off the other. So those are just some of the ideas where both clubs can benefit. And you've got to remember, I mean, if we can generate more funds, the fans benefit from it.
Yeah. So was Fulham then brought in mind to have a kind of symbiotic relationship with the Jaguars, or is it just a nice offset?
Yeah, I mean, they're distinct organizations. On their own, sharing, some of the strengths and some of the really best practices.
Thank you again, Lorcan. And over to you, Russ.
Okay, Mr. Khan, the Fulham Academy has become one of the best in England. And do you envision in future seasons a Fulham first team made up of players from the transfer market, but a significant amount of players from the academy?
As we were talking about sustainability, I think that is one of the elements that you have to be able to find, grow your own players. So absolutely, I look for that the players we're developing, we would like for them to be, on the first team. Now, you look for the judgment of the manager. In this case, I mean, they don't want to weaken the squad. They want to put the best team forward that has a chance of winning and getting the points. But if all things were the same, I mean, it's absolutely, I think, vital for any club for long term to be sustainable, to develop and, promote their players.
Couldn't agree more. That's why, again, as a fan, I think some of us would like to see more players come through, and we understand that the manager obviously has to put the best club on the field, on the pitch, but at some point I'd like to see some of the youngsters come through.
Absolutely, and I think I can tell you that, on the Fulham side, from, our CEO, Alistair, to the manager, and I just saw Martin earlier today, he was talking about some of the players on, from the academy and who can start playing on the first team. So we're all aligned, and, our goal is to make it happen.
Great.
Great, thank you. And to you, Will.
Hi, Mr. Khan. You've mentioned a lot about sustainability. Understandably, it's quite a key word for football clubs at the moment. But we also have one of the oldest squads in the league. So is there a plan to spend more on players in the resellable bracket, i.e. the 22-26 age bracket, so they have future sustainability, so we can keep bringing through players? Is that a long-term plan for the club?
I think all of that is, but who scored this goal that's probably rattled the football world last night? Okay, and how old was that player?
Yeah, Kastami 21. I agree.
Okay, so and I think people now recognize, and I believe that's his third year on the club.
Yes.
So there are players like that who really haven't had the exposure. So. It was a great night last night, but even before the game was played, I mean, I've met some of the players, and I think, we have a great team. They need to gel and live up to their potential.
So, Mr. Khan, are you saying that you want to really have a mix of the really experienced players, i.e. the Berbatovs, that kind of age bracket, and then bring through the youth with them?
I think you want to put the best team together, and as a long-term plan, you have to have the younger players coming up who will be supplementing it.
I agree. That would be my vision too.
Yeah.
Good, thanks,
thank
Will. Okay, back to you, Heather, for your final question for Mr. Khan.
Okay, you already touched on this earlier on the Riverside stand development. What is the latest on that, and is there any improvements planned for the cottage in the near future?
Well, I mean, that would be a huge improvement for the cottage. Let me ask you, have you been to the cottage?
Yes, I've been twice.
Okay, so when was the last time you were there?
Probably 2008.
Okay. It's been a while, okay? So you need to kind of come back and see some of the improvements that already happened. And I think, one of the things I'm proud of is then some of the latest surveys when it comes to the hospitality and how supporters are treated from both teams. I mean, Fulham ranks right at the top. So the game day experience is very, very good right now. Our goal is how we make it better. And the Riverside, where we stand, is, this is London. We're sitting on the north bank of the Thames. Number of different regulatory agencies that we're going through to get approvals, and we're in the final stages of that. So that will be a great improvement, but it's, since in the last 5 years, a lot of wonderful stuff has happened, and hopefully you can come and, see that for yourself.
I very much enjoy that.
We look forward to seeing you again, Heather. Jean-Andre, over to you.
Okay, so one of the greatest aspects of English football is the twin prospects of promotion and relegation, something foreign to American sports franchises. And a lot of fans, irrespective of last night's great victory, are terrified right now that the club might not be able to protect its position in the Premier League. Do you share our terror?
Well, I think a little bit of paranoia, comes with the Premier League because of relegation and promotion. So it was a great night last night, but I think even before the game, one had to keep in mind that, only 7 games, I believe, had been played. So, there's a long season yet to go. So you've got to have a little bit of paranoia to get better.
Okay, thank you, Jay. And Lucan?
So there's a lot of support for standing areas in top flight English football stadiums from supporters and a number of clubs, including Celtic, especially considering the success of safe standing in Germany. What is your stance? What is your stance on safe standing? Could you support safe standing in England, and if not, why not?
Well, I mean, I experienced standing last night. Okay, so we had a fire alarm, and we were out there mixed in with Fulham and Crystal Palace fans. So was a interesting experience. But there is a lot of history, and it's a matter of regulations, and so in my case, I've been in the Premier League now 4 months, so I wouldn't be bold enough, frankly, to take a stand on it one way or the other. I think there are a lot of people, a lot more knowledgeable, a lot more history, but I experienced it last night. It was fun. But I'll let other people really kind of take the lead on it, and we'll support them any way we can.
But it's been proven to work both in Germany and all around the world, in fact. And it's a lot of fans are now still calling for it. Could you ever envisage yourself supporting it in the future? Should you become knowledgeable enough, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'll defer to really people who have more experience and more history and all that. But it's like, there's so many things that are maybe, I would say, precious or tradition bound. Alcohol while watching a game. In the U.S., it's part and parcel of any professional sport. Here, it's not. So there are many, many things that might or might not make sense, but those are things I think somebody else ought to be expounding, and we'll see what makes sense.
Okay.
Thanks again, Luke, and Ross.
Yes, Mr. Khan, there's a famous phrase where I live that the New England Patriots use. It's called "ignore the noise." It deals with dealing with the press and basically for the organization just to do their jobs and just ignore what is said and with any kind of talk. What do you think about this philosophy, and how difficult is it for you to ignore the noise about Fulham?
Well, I think we're talking about there are all kinds of noises. You have to listen to the supporters, and you have to listen to other viewpoints. Doesn't mean you want to do that, but it's wonderful to get feedback. And I've spent all of my life, obviously, in auto parts before professional sports here less than 2 years ago. It's important to listen to the customer, but then once that's done, you have to do what you think is the right thing. And but it's not you're not running anything by democracy from that viewpoint. So
okay, well, I meant more particularly what you're hearing in the press about Fulham. Does it get to you, and do you try to block it out so you can just do the job as chairman?
Well, yeah, I'm going to do the right thing, the responsible thing, as chairman of Fulham or Jacksonville Jaguars, which is the right thing for the club and the right thing for the supporters.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ross. And to you again, Will.
Thanks. Following on from Lorcan's point about safe standing, there's been a lot of talk in the league about the fans. Do you think, in principle, that football is a fan game and we should support in any way possible to really, support fans going to matches, helping them out during tough times?
So please explain to me, what do you mean?
So basically, there's been a lot of talk in football about prices being too high, etc. And sporting fans. Do you believe that in principle we should help out fans and try and make it more fan friendly?
It's just look at the money in English Premier League. The financials are public. Let me give you an example. I think this is public knowledge. As a Fulham supporter, the prior chairman, Mr. Al Fayed, he wrote off about £200 million in debt. If it was strictly fan supported, the fans would be divvying them up among themselves, or the players would have been paid much less, and the club probably wouldn't be at that level. So, or keep it simple, just go ahead and keep sending me checks, okay?
Okay.
Sell some of your posters, Will.
So, Sarah, could we maybe go around, I think, who's on? I'd love to find out if it's polite, how old you are, and, what do you do, and why, how come you became interested in Fulham?
Yeah, let's start with you, Heather.
Yeah, so.
I started following Fulham in about 2001 when they were just promoted. They happened to be on TV, and I think Saba sort of scored a goal and he ran around the pitch with a mask on, and I thought it was the greatest thing. So that's how I got hooked.
Okay, so what do you do, Heather?
I am a stay-at-home mom,
Okay.
and I also run the FulhamUSA.com website.
Okay, great. Great.
And are you a singer-songwriter, Heather? I spy a guitar in the background.
Oh no, just just a hobby.
Okay, so, and Heather, where are you calling from? Or where you know, where are you today? In the U.S., I assume?
Yes, I'm in Maryland.
Okay, Maryland. Okay, great. Great.
We'll talk to Jay at University in Oxford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I started going to Fulham when I was 4 with my father, and ever since then, always supported the club. So that's got to be, now I'm nearly 20, so that's a long time. So we just got promoted to the first division when I started going, and ever since then I got hooked. So no, it's been a brilliant time. Ever since I started going, I think we've been on an upward spiral, so it's been brilliant.
Awesome. So what are you studying?
History at Oxford University.
Oh, I see. Okay, great.
Lucan, shall we hear about you?
Okay. Well, I'm Lorcan. I'm on the board of the Fulham Supporters Trust. I'm 22, but I'm going to Fulham since I was 7, I think. And yeah, like the previous fella, it's been basically an upward spiral from then. So it's been a good ride. I just graduated from Leeds. I studied for a Masters in Mathematics, so that was fun. And then now, just trying to do the whole sort of post-uni job thing. So that's where I am at the moment. But yeah, it's cool.
Okay, so you are today in the UK then?
I'm in the UK, yeah. I'm based in West London. Most people won't like this, but I'm round the corner from Brentford's football ground, which is uncomfortable for me. It wasn't my choice, unfortunately, but it's home, so can't knock it too much.
Okay, great.
And we welcome back Russ.
Well, listen, I'm 47 years old. I'm going to admit my age, and I actually a sales rep selling conferencing services for a company called Intercall. You might be familiar with Mr. Khan.
Okay.
And basically, I live outside of Boston, and I became a Fulham fan when Clint Dempsey transferred from the New England Revolution to Fulham, and that's how I got interested in the club. And just as my New England Patriots went down in the Super Bowl, Fulham were going through a relegation battle. So I was going through two sporting travesties, but luckily Fulham were able to stay up, and that really was the turning point. The Great Escape made me a Fulham fan. And I have been ever since, and I have this show called Cottage Talk, which Will and Lorcan are actually co-hosts with me on, and love just talking about the club.
Okay, great.
Great plug for Cottage Talk there, Russ.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good work. And Will.
Hi, I'm Will. I'm currently a student and I live roughly an hour away from the ground, so I'm quite close, which is quite lucky. I really started Fulham when back in 2001 when we were playing at Loftus Road. My first game at Loftus was actually Everton-Fulham, which 2 own goals gave Fulham a win. So I was kind of hooked from then on, but I think the moment that I really became forever a Fulham fan was my first ever trip to the Cottage, which is pretty memorable. It was 2004 when Papu Diop stuck in a last-minute screamer against United to get the draw, and that's a goal that I'm sure every Fulham fan remembers. So, and ever since then, I've been writing about Fulham, been in Cottage Talk about Fulham, and yeah, Fulham is a big part of my life at the moment. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I know there were a couple of extra questions, certainly from you, John Andre. I think you had one that you wanted to ask.
Yes, your moustache is something quite special. Do you use products?
The question related to your moustache, sir. I think. And do you use products was the question.
Well, the mustache is a product, okay? No, it's a gift from God, and you came with its own product, so I haven't had to resort to any desperate means like that.
So we don't need any product advice. We're all good here.
Okay.
Lorcan, I think you had an extra question.
Yeah, I do. At the moment, you've only got 4 people on the Fulham FC board. Do you plan to expand it, and is there any prospect of fan representation on the board?
Well, to me, I think we want to have people who will play an active role and be helpful. So, if you have any suggestions, I mean, I would, welcome those. If, they would help the club, and the board is there really as an advisory board for Alistair, our CEO, as well as Martin. So, open to all suggestions.
Thank you, Lorcan. And I think we've got time for one final question,
Okay,
Russ.
Yeah, Mr. Khan, in your evaluation process that you're going through right now, have you considered some of the parts of Moneyball to apply to Fulham, such as statistical analysis, that really has helped the Oakland A's close the gap from smaller clubs to bigger clubs?
Yeah. There is quite a bit of statistical analysis being used right now. And, on the NFL side, at the Jacksonville Jaguars, I mean, we need every competitive edge. And we've been using, big user of stats and insights, obviously. And Fulham, I mean, we've gone over what they're doing. I mean, they're doing a great job. But I think we need every edge we can get, and it's really being used in Premier League to great extent. And I think, again, the Moneyball example, when Fenway Sports acquired Liverpool, they transferred some of that over. And I think, so it's being used to great extent right now.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'd just like to say good luck to the Jags on Sunday.
Oh, well, thank you.
Live screenings at Craven Cottage. I've been asked to mention that. Thank you all for joining us, and sir, thank you very much.
Okay, Sarah, thank you for hosting. Yeah. So.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.